Hello, my friends. In September 2023, I made a series of 4 videos on the evidence for the power of the composite chart. And this video today is also on the power of the composite chart. This is something we've realized more clearly in just the last few months. In the last half of 2023, becoming crystal clear that the composite chart is extraordinarily powerful. We actually found this out over a year ago when we did the research on couples, 21,000 couples. And the research showed that the composite chart is more powerful than the synastry aspects. Then we got theoretical ideas for why this is true and applying this with clients. Applying these ideas with clients is startling. Here's another stunning example of the power of the composite chart. And we're going to be looking at the 77 vibration of the composite chart. I know, it sounds crazy. Like, oh my God, you're going to do the 77, we call it vibration, most people call it harmonic chart. 77th harmonic of the composite? Yes. And we believe it's fundamental. I know that sounds crazy because the composite chart isn't even used by most astrologers. Now we're doing high harmonics of the composite. I explain all this in that series of 4 videos on the evidence for the power of the composite chart. But let's look at another stunning example of how this works. Here I'm just saying what I've already said. We don't need to go over that. So let's see how this happens. Now, here's the question at the bottom of the slide. Why the 77 vibe? What's so special about 77? The reason why we're using 77 is because it happens to be a strong vibration. So the rule for doing compatibility is you see what vibration is strong for a person and then see if the other person connects to it. So let's look at the 77 vibration of these 2 people and see why we want to compare their 77 vibration charts. So the 2 people that we're going to do this compatibility for are a fellow named Tang and another fellow named Christopher Yam. They are musicians and they are friends, and they collaborate with their music. Ethan is also a student of vibrational astrology. He's in one of my 2-year programs studying vibrational astrology. If you're curious about the kind of music they do, and this is only one small slice, at least of what Ethan does, because he came to the Vibrational Astrology Conference. He's going to be speaking at the next one. We have a Saturday night banquet, and he was playing music, and oh my God, this guy's an amazing musician. He's playing piano and all bass guitar, all kinds of stuff. So he, studies music at the university. So he's working at that more sophisticated level of music. So if you're curious, you can go to YouTube and search for Easy Lover, cover by Tang and Warren Chong. This was done by 3 people, Ethan and also his friend Christopher Yam, who we're going to look at the compatibility. And there was a 3rd guy, Warren Chong, involved in this. And then another video is by Ethan and Chris Yam called Invincible. And he says, quite frankly, this is not as exciting as Easy Lover because Easy Lover has a video and vocals. These guys are about 22 years old. They've been busy in college and things like that. So they're just beginning to put out some things for the public. I think you're going to see a lot more that they will be producing in the future. Now, just a little more background. Ethan emailed me. He said, Chris is my longtime friend from childhood. We started exploring music together when we were around 14. We played music together in high school. We started producing electronic music together 2 years ago or so. We store our music projects on the cloud and collaborate by voice chat and screen sharing our music software. Now, in the past, our research has shown that 11 vibe shows up so consistently with music and overtones of 11, like 33, 44, 55, and so on. And we have seen occasionally 77. We saw it with Jimi Hendrix. Very strong 77 vibe. We've seen it with other people. So 11 times 7 sometimes shows up with music. And we also say that the planets Venus and Uranus are connected to music. Our latest idea is that in most cases Venus and Uranus are involved, but not always, not every single time. So there will be cases where the Venus and Uranus are not conspicuous. If you have the vibration, you have the right planets involved, and especially true if the emphasis is not so much on rhythm and excitability, but more on melody lines, harmonies. Very often, what Ethan pointed out is he and a lot of his musician friends are not big showmen and dancing and stuff. So you will see it in the Easy Lover video, that there is that bounce and flair, but a lot of times it's involvement with the harmony, the melody line, the form of communication that music is. Now, when we looked at Ethan's chart in class, the only thing that I could see indicating music was his 77 vibe. And now we're going to see how that 77 vibe gets activated in his music and helps confirm that it is 77 vibe. And also, one more thing, and then we're going to look at his 77 vibe chart, and we're going to see how this compatibility works. Let me talk a little bit about our latest understanding of 77 vibe. In fact, Ethan mentioned this when we were in class, and I love this phrase, that 77 vibe is tracking a moving target. This is our latest understanding of exactly what 77 does. And as is typical with what we call second order vibrations, a vibration where you take two prime numbers and combine them together by multiplying them. 77 equals 11 times 7, two prime numbers. They get married. The way that they integrate and work together, we don't know exactly how that will happen until we do the research. And what we're increasingly understanding about 77 is the way that the 7 and 11 connect and integrate is the 77 gives the quiet, the focus, the concentration, the stillness. How does the stillness of 7 combine with the restless movement of 11? The stillness tracks the movement. It follows every detail of that movement. It's quietly observing the movement. And an image for it is the way an animal can track the movement of another animal. So if an animal is thinking of pouncing on another animal, for example, or is afraid of that animal attacking it, you've all seen a cat or other animals, how they can be so still. Like, man, they don't even move, and their eyes will just track every minute movement, and then, you can imagine an eagle looking down, and then wham. That tracking, that care, that precision, that ability to block everything out, to just focus and become part of that movement, that's 77 vibe. Now, this is not so different from what we've always been saying about 77. It's just a slight rephrasing of it, that you're tracking quietly in tune with the movement. Now, what kinds of activities require 77 vibe? What other kinds of activities? Music. If you've played music with other people ever, you know what happens if you're singing and you forget the words. It's like you've lost the flow, or you hit some wrong notes or something. You've got to stay on that flow. You got to be on the beat, man. You got to bam, bam. you get the perfect timing, staying right with it. And if you stay with it, the life happens, the excitement, the exuberance, the freedom of the music is released by staying precisely with it. There are certain situations where if you can just stay right with it, the magic happens. Think of a lot of sports like gymnastics. Somebody's getting on that high bar, spinning around. If they can just track it just right, practice, be focused, you get this fantastic result. So a lot of things with body movement, like dance or a lot of athletics, tracking the ball, the baseball coming to the batter, the baseball being hit, and the outfielder running for it, tracking it, keeping your eye on the ball. Literally 77 vibe. Keep your eye on the ball. That phrase is a 77 vibe phrase. So many situations require this. And again, what we see with these second order vibes, again, what does second order mean? Take two prime numbers, multiply them together, is they become very specific activities. Very specific. The prime numbers are general principles. When you combine them together, you get very specific, important behavior. It's amazing to me, just philosophically, it's amazing that things like tracking a ball or tracking an animal are built into the fabric of life. They're built into the fundamental principles of creation. Almost as if when things got created, the universe knew there would be continual need to track movement. These are like the fundamental forces of life. So, let me go back to the previous slide. Let's look at Ethan's 77 vibration chart. Okay, here it is. So here's Ethan. He is 22 years old at the time I'm making this video. So he's got a lot of time ahead of him, and I believe we're going to see the mastery that 77 inclines to, because it likes to be still and track. And if you do that, you develop that mastery of things. Music is a perfect outlet for this, and it's one of the outlets that he has, one of the ways he expresses it. And oh my God, you'll rarely ever see a vibrational chart this strong. Crazy how intensely strong it is. We have the Grand Trine, and the Grand Trine involves two conjunctions, Mercury, Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. And then you take this trine and Neptune's in between this trine and Saturn's in between this trine. You actually have 5 points of a 6-pointed star. 7 planets tightly connected. And of course, you're going to have lots of midpoint structures. The 3 planets that are not in the pattern are Venus, Uranus, and Pluto. Venus is involved because it's conjunct the Sun and Mercury, but it's weak. The others are strong. Uranus and Pluto are conjunct each other, but they're not part of the main pattern. 7 planet configuration, huge. Therefore, it must play a big part in his life. And if he meets someone who connects with that, then they are going to share the quality of this. Through synastry, we improve our understanding. Because if someone has a strong vibration, like Ethan has an extremely strong 77 vibe, when that 77 vibe connects with someone else, it brings out his 77 vibe into the relationship. This is a very important way that we confirm what a vibration does. Because if you're only looking at it in the natal chart and trying to explain the whole person's life, there are so many things in the chart that you could attribute to what's going on in their life. But if a particular thing comes out in the relationship, then it's drawing out that vibration. So it's specific to that relationship. And that's what happens with Ethan and Christopher Yam. Their 77 vibe connection is strong. Okay, now let's go back to our PowerPoint. I think the next thing we're going to do is look at Christopher's 77. Oh, before we do that, let's look at the reinforcing midpoint structures, because they give key qualities. So in this huge pattern, we see things like Saturn at the Moon, Jupiter midpoint, 9 minutes. All I did to see this is I pulled up the midpoint structures, and there's Saturn at the Moon, Jupiter midpoint, 9-minute orb. Take these midpoint structures, find the ones that involve the 7 planets, and they are cementing, reinforcing, strengthening those particular qualities in the vibrational chart. And the ones that we see when we do that are Saturn at Moon, Jupiter, weaker Saturn at Mars, Jupiter. What does it mean? Quietly working to get it right. So this tells us that when Ethan is tracking the moving target, such as in the music, what exactly happens when Ethan's engaged with music? He's quietly working to get it right. Saturn, Moon, Jupiter. Jupiter, Saturn means organized. Moon, Saturn means quiet, alone. Moon, Jupiter means friendly. So there's something that is warm and rich that comes out of planning, designing, and executing the music. We also see a large philosophical view, big perspectives. Neptune at Mercury, Jupiter. What does that mean in terms of music? It means different styles of music. It means being open to different possibilities. So he's not going to specialize in one style. He's going to be interested in the concepts, the thinking, the background, the history, the culture, the setting, the meaning, the purpose, the place behind the music. A big, rich approach to it. So we see him organizing, orchestrating, working out the details, the harmony, giving it a nice, rich feeling with the Moon, Jupiter, playing with different ideas, open to different inspirations, Neptune and Mercury, Jupiter. And we see Mercury at Mars, Jupiter, which grasps the concepts clearly, and so on. Saturn at Sun, Mercury, clear analysis, and so on. Well, I put the stronger ones near the top. All of this will be involved in the 77 vibe. Now, we want to see if Christopher's 77 vibe connects with Ethan's. If it does, then Christopher can support Ethan's 77 vibe. He can help with it. Maybe Ethan will be the lead musician, and Christopher, plays a musical instrument, or does one component, one part of this. So let's look at Christopher's 77 vibe. Here's his birth chart, and he just turned 22 at the time of making this video. This is unusual. Both of them have an extremely strong 77 vibe. This is unusual that two people are strong in the same vibe, extremely strong. Christopher has Moon and Sun. Again, the Sun and Moon. Remember, Ethan also has Sun and Moon. This is crazy, man. They both have Sun and Moon tightly connected in 7 vibe. In fact, if we go back to Ethan's 77, Ethan's Sun and Moon are trine in 77 vibe. Christopher, his Sun and Moon are sextile. Very similar aspects. Sextile is just a higher octave of the trine. 3 times 2 is 6. amazing similarity, like crazy, insanely similar. Chris has Sun and Moon and Mercury and Saturn and Mars and Uranus and Pluto all connected together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets. They both have 7 planets in 77 vibe. That is stunning. Again, you'll rarely see this. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. I think the next thing I have in my PowerPoint is let's look at the reinforcing midpoint structures for Christopher. Let's see, where's my PowerPoint? Over here. And here's some of here are the midpoint structures with a 1 degree 15 minute orb or less. I didn't go out to 1.5 because once you're over a degree in 15 minutes, it's very weak. So I just stopped at 1 degree 15 minutes. We have Pluto at Sun Moon, 12-minute orb, and it's at Moon Mercury, 54-minute orb. Intense remembering, feeling of an experience while tracing its movement. So this can be nostalgic music that brings out deep feelings, brings out your sense of the past and your soul. Venus and Moon Neptune, very tight. Inspiring soulful beauty. Uranus is at Sun Moon, spontaneous expression of feelings. So these qualities are going to come out in the 77 vibration expression for Christopher. Now, what we want to do is see, we want to see if they connect together. Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm at 22 minutes. Okay, let me continue. Let me show you. I think we can wrap this up in one video. Let me show you there's 77 vibration of the composite, because our latest research says that vibration of the composite is the strongest thing that can happen. And check this out. Here is their composite. Nothing that special, but the 77 vibe of the composite, crazy. It's nuts. Sun, Uranus, Pluto, very tightly conjunct, opposite the Mercury, Mars, square the Moon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in a T-square. The Sun is trying to Jupiter and Saturn, and Mercury, Mars. Saturn gets involved with trines and sextiles. I can also triple this vibration to see how Saturn, what it's within orb. Whenever you see trines and sextiles, you can triple the vibration. 77 times 3 takes me to 231. And in the 231, we see Sun and Moon. Remember Sun and Moon? They're fundamental in both of their individual 77 vibe, and it's in the composite. The Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn. Those 5 planets are the 5 planets that are strong in both of their 77 vibe charts. If you go back and look at this previous slide of what planets are strong, let's go back to Ethan. These are the planets that are strong for Ethan. Actually, Venus wasn't that strong. It's Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn. For Christopher, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn. He also has Uranus and Pluto. The 5 planets that both of them have strong are the same 5 planets that show up in this overtone of the 77 vibe chart. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn. This is crazy. What this is saying is they have extremely similar or extraordinarily powerful 77 vibe, and it all connects together. This is almost like fate. It's almost impossible that they wouldn't become friends and do, and do music together. Phenomenal. And what we're learning with vibrational astrology is that to bring people together for some purpose takes this very special magnetism. It's just mind-blowing. So this also confirms that it is 77 vibe that's connected to the music. So if you have a planetary configuration in your chart that's strong, and you're trying to understand exactly what it means, if you have a relationship with somebody who connects to it, they're bringing that out, and that should get confirmed. They should be supporting it. This compatibility of Ethan and Christopher, is extraordinarily unusual because both of them have the vibration strong, and it connects for both. That is very rare. So there you have it, my friends. So let me just give you some quick conclusions about what we're saying here. Conclusions. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. Second order vibes are extremely important, such as 77, which equals 11 times 7. They provide specific important functions. Our current theory is that 77 vibe is tracking a moving target. Number 2, music is a moving target. It is a good way to engage your 77 vibration. People with 77 vibration who engage in music develop technical expertise and typically can play fast and clean at the same time. Because that's what 77 vibe does. It lets you move quickly and precisely. 3, vibrational charts of the composite chart in a vibe that is strong for one of the people are extremely important for building a bond between the people based on that vibration. Here we have an extraordinary case where the vibe is strong for both people and combines together. That's the strongest possibility. Number 4, confirming the meaning of a vibration through synastry is an excellent way to improve our confidence that the interpretation of that vibration is correct. Unless it doesn't confirm it and something different is happening in a relationship, it's going to make you question your interpretation. Here it reinforces our understanding of 77 vibe. And lastly, number 5, keep in mind vibrational astrology is an evidence-based system. It improves rapidly as we do the research using modern research methods, using rigorous controls and so on, and applying the ideas. And as vibrational astrology develops and improves, what we're noticing is that the vibrational astrology looks less and less and less like any other kind of astrology. It's just going way off into a whole new world, and now we're looking at things like the 77 vibration of the composite chart. Well, that's it, my friends. I think it's very exciting that we're seeing these ideas every time we apply them. Bam! Very exciting that it becomes useful and practical, and we're seeing things in the relationships we wouldn't see otherwise. And if you haven't watched those 4 videos on the evidence for the power of the composite chart, that also shows you the same thing, that, wow, things that are going on in a relationship that you didn't know were there are showing up by using this procedure that's explained in detail in those 4 videos. Thank you very much for listening, my friends. God bless. Namaste.